Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the 2025 Tarot Forecast. This is your psychic advisor, Micah, and let's get into it. Okay, so if you are somebody that I talk to a lot, like from Reddit or something, then you probably have the Tarot Forecast infographic that lays out what the Tarot Forecast pretty much talks about. Very similar to a horoscope spread. I have a video that explains it. Yeah, all that. And all of my readings are some sort of reflection of the tarot scope, tarot forecast. So like even the sample readings I do on Reddit, it's like the first seven houses pretty much. And then yeah, so it's going to start in April 2025. We'll have some cards that talk about like the end and the beginning of the year, but it's going to start in April 2025 and end in March 2026. That's what this is going to analyze, and this is for all signs. So basically, like, as I'm looking in April, that's going to be about Aries. As I'm looking in July, that's going to talk about Cancer. So if you're like a Cancer sun, Cancer moon, or rising, you're going to want to hear and listen out for what's going on in July. If you're a Virgo, you're going to want to listen up for what's going on in September. If you're a Capricorn, you're going to want to listen up for what's going on in December. Or January. January. If you're a Sagittarius, you're going to listen up for what's going on in December. Um, yeah, so it's like that. And, if you are a Libra and you are interested in Aries, you're going to listen up for what's going on in April because that's what's also going on for Aries pretty much probably throughout 2025. Probably their entire life, honestly. People don't tend to change really until they change, you know what I mean? Okay, so the first card I'm seeing that represents, okay, well, actually, yeah, so the first card that I'm seeing that represents April 2025 and the sign of Aries and your self esteem, your relationship to your father's side of the family, your father's culture, all those things. We're seeing the Magician here. So this is my push for 2025 and 2026 is to get more people into the law of attraction and affirmations and manifestation because getting readings is great and groovy, but what are you going to be like? There's some things that are out of our control, but a lot of the universe is under our control. A lot of our own personal universes are in our control. So sometimes I feel like if you're just like constantly getting readings, like, is Rebecca ever gonna call me again? Like these sad saps on Reddit who are like, I want to reconcile with this person that I hardly know because of obsession. It's like, don't be a victim to the universe. Don't be a victim to other people's energy. Like, you could be totally in love with someone and they look at you as a rival. And so, how better to defeat you than to break your heart since you're giving them that, higher ground over you, right? So, I would say in April 2025 for the sign of Aries, for advice for your father, if you're interested in some guy named Brad, who is in Aries, do magic on him. So moving right along into the sign of Taurus in the merry month of May, we have the Two of Pentacles, which is a really good card to see for Taurus. It's a very Taurian card. This talks about like balancing your finances. It's about balancing your finances. It also talks to me like about how sex sells and like Jiggle TV and how I think Charlie's Angels, I believe, was like one of the first television shows that didn't use like padding and other things to um like so you can like see through their you could like see through their clothes essentially, and they're like running and jiggling around and jumping over cars and stuff. So that might be a good way to make money. That might be what Taurus is up to. Maybe shake them if you got them. Cool. Right. And then in the season of June, or the season of Gemini in the month of June, we have the Eight of Wands. So I learned in one of the other readings that I was doing when Mercury was going to be in retrograde, throughout 2025, which I believe it's like half in between like Aries and Pisces, and then between Cancer and Leo, and then I guess in between Scorpio and Sagittarius, or Sagittarius and Capricorn. I forget the last one. But the Eight of Wands, which I'm seeing for the month of June, is usually my Mercury retrograde card, but it's also other planetary retrogrades. So you could be talking about retrogrades, you could be talking about astrology, a lot of people could be speaking with you. This is a very powerful position to see for Gemini because the Eight of Wands is a Sagittarian card, so it's like you're balancing both sides of your energy. It's very yin and yang. And as the Taurian house or the month of May was talking about balancing finances, it could be talking about balancing finances, time and money, your energy, how much energy that you're giving out as much as you're receiving. Even as I'm talking about how I do my Reddit sample readings and how it's like basically just the first seven houses of what you're attracting. It's like, yeah, like it's a free sample. I'm not going to give you all my energy, obviously. Eight of Wands in the season of Gemini is like, I'll talk to you, but not all night, like I'll give you some of my energy. And I don't know if Sagittarius are doing this on purpose or if they're just slow or whatever it is, but they're like the type to talk forever. A lot of the times I feel like people are performing their emotions. So they'll pretend to um, be upset about something for attention. And it's like fire signs love attention. So it's like they're like, oh, I can't sleep at night. I want to be famous, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, okay, what do you like? Okay, okay. It's a conversation like that. So as we're talking about retrogrades, it could just be somebody who's like spun out of control. They don't have any, like gravitas when they speak. Like they just keep on going. About like inappropriate things, like people throwing up and all types of crazy stuff. And then eight is also the number of being like overwhelmed and crazy. So the Geminis in your life could be overwhelmed and crazy with messages. They could literally have been assaulted, or they could be assaulting people. It's like an assault. And then in the season of Cancer, in the month of July, we have the Chariot reversed, which talks about a car accident. So a Cancer that you know may have been in a car accident. Your mother might have been in a car accident. Your mother might be pretending to have been in a car accident for attention. Uh, and also, I mean, this is kind of like a real like harsh. So as the Eight of Wands is sort of a powerful card to see for Gemini, this is sort of like a real harsh card to see for Cancer, because I have this, the Chariot as a Cancer slash Libra card. And I feel like all Cancers and Libras, like, they're not like, oh, if shit hits the fan one day, I might go live in my car. They're like, I'm gonna go live in my car. That's great. And so, Cancer, they might be losing their car. They might have, like I said, in a car accident. So their whole like wish and want and dream of living in their car has ended because they no longer have a car. Um, and also like their internet might not be working, their website might be down, their phone may not be working. Um, Whatever spiritual protections they had up are like like what is it? Like they're molting. Like you know how crabs molt, like their shell is gone. It's like their shell is gone. Alrighty, and then so the next position that we have here is the Leo fifth house. So the season of Leo, the month of August, the fifth house. I usually see this as what people's like uh, obstacles are, and it's like sexy obstacles. It's like you're trying to get your work done, and you're scrolling through Facebook, and you see some guy in their underwear, and you're like, okay, well, this is gonna be another like 45-minute wait for whatever it is that I'm doing. And I think that is extra exemplified in this reading, seeing how the devil is in this position. So it's like your biggest obstacle is overcoming the temptations of the devil. And I've been receiving this download for a very long time where it's like, if you're a Christian, especially, like God and the God and the devil, they are like really like the only deities in Christian mythology. I guess like angels and stuff too, but like angels and saints or whatever. Um, but God has been saying to me, it's like you're not supposed to give in to the temptations of the devil or do like whatever the devil says, but he like will not judge you as harshly as you think if you're not able to deny the temptations of the devil, because the devil is literally the god of temptation. So it's like, yeah, like Bacchus, like the god of wine. It's like, okay, I may not take a glass of wine from Suzanne Miller. I may not take a glass of wine from some magical goat or something, or even my neighbor. Uh, but when Bacchus, the god of wine, or Dionysus, like offers you some wine, you gonna tell him no? You know what I mean? Like, if Poseidon was like, "Oh, come and swim in this pool or in the sea or this ocean with me," you're gonna deny the god of the seas, doing his thing. You know what I mean? If the goddess Venus, appeared to you in a burning flame and was like, "Let's fall in love and have a million babies," you know, like if you were to deny that temptation, God would be like, pat on the back, like cheers to you. But like, I'm not gonna fault other people who cannot deny the temptations of the goddess of love. So if it's like your secretary at work, or I don't even know, administrative assistant at work, or your neighbor, or somebody went to high school with, and they're kind of like seducing you or trying to tempt you, they may not be, the god of temptation. God may judge you for giving into their will. But the devil typically is somebody who is like a Capricorn. So if there's some Capricorn who's messing with you, and you may be feeling less magical because you're having a difficult time defeating them, Leo, um, just know that God goes through the same thing. And like I said, in Christian mythology, so it's like you think that you can defeat the devil, God can't even defeat the devil. So it's like, just relax. All right, so moving right along into the month of September and the season of Virgo, we have the Five of Pentacles, which is pretty much a Virgo card. The Five of Pentacles has been saying to me, like, walking in the snow, walking in the heat, going to the drugstore, like, because I see the Hierophant, which is the fifth card, is like CVS. It's like CVS, YouTube, um, your therapist office, physical therapy, mental therapy, whatever, wise counselor. So the Five of Pentacles is saying like maybe you think that you're like too poor for therapy or for a therapist. You just go to the candy store, to the drugstore directly. It also talks about like walking by a church. It's also just like going for a walk. But it's like a walk that you want to go on. So the advice for Virgo, or what's going on with Virgo in September, or for everybody collectively, uh, it's like if there's some place that you've been wanting to go, like, if you've been needing money and you wanted to go to this like new bagel shop up the street or something, you will be able to go. You just may have to walk there. In the season of Libra, in the month of October, which I always say is the month of attraction. So it's like if you've been doing a lot of manifestation work, you've been lighting all these candles and lighting incense and praying and fasting and doing all those things, I see that what you're attracting, so what you yourself are attracting, what Libra is attracting, is the Ten of Wands reverse, which is like coming out of extreme burnout and letting go of the burdens of other people. So especially as like a spiritualist or as a healer or as a spiritual person in your family, a lot of people could be like overburdening you with conversation. And I sort of noticed this on Reddit, like people want to go on and on about like their ex or whatever, and I'm like, how long do you think I'm going to sit here and talk to you about some fictional relationship that you're trying to use to like posture and postulate. Like, what? Why would I do that? What human being would do that? It's like, yeah, you need talk therapy. Go talk to a tree or something, you know? Go talk to a plant. They care. They need they need the CO2 or whatever from you. So what this is saying to me, and especially like for air signs, so for like I'm saying, like Gemini might be having a lot of like, okay, okay, all right, type conversations. Libra could be going through the same thing, and the same thing Aquarius. It's like people like holding you hostage, like some Sagittarius trying to hold you hostage through conversation. And I always think of tree trunks from Adventure Time. Like just it's like they're not even doing it on purpose. Like I'm sort of this way too, where it's like you just have a southern drawl or you speak slowly, and it's like, oh my god, if you do not get it out, are you trying to sabotage me? Why is this conversation taking 7 years? But also, I feel the same way because these videos have been like 8 hours every time I record them. And maybe I'm letting go of that burden. So in the season of Scorpio, in the month of November, I am seeing the Eight of Swords reversed. So it's like the Eight of Swords, it's like an Aquarian card, right? And it's also orange. So it's been talking to me about anxiety. And there's like that new Disney movie, um, Emotions, I want to say that it's called. But it's like, they're like a bunch of people sitting inside somebody's head, and there's all these like personifications of different feelings, I guess, and one of them is anxiety, and they, whatever it is orange. So this is like you coming out of your anxiety attacks, Scorpio. I mean, you may have stolen. I mean, you may, Scorpio. You steal things from people, and then you try to attack their reputation or character, or try to destroy them, so they don't wreak revenge and havoc on you. But I'm sorry, Scorpio. Like, the thing is about astrology, is that I feel like people try to overcomplicate it with looking at like daily transits and this, and that. But when it comes to like personality types and archetypes, and honestly, like your fate, fortune, and lot in life, rising signs are pretty important. Sun and Moon and Venus signs are pretty important, but you can tell a lot from the sun. And knowing the myth or the lore of your sign will pretty much tell you how your life will go, unless you use magic to take control of your life and not be a victim of circumstance, or a victim of circumstance, a victim of magic, a victim of other people's wills and curses and acolytes of the devil. Uh, Cancer. So in the realm of water signs, I'm not going to do everybody's lore, but I've been like, there's like some Pokemon lore thing on YouTube that's like really gross and weird. So the zodiac signs, not as gross and weird. Aquarius, a little gross and weird. Um, all of it a little gross and weird, I guess. But so Cancer is unsuccessful. Cancer is an unsuccessful water sign, unfortunately. Sorry, Cancer. You don't get to be successful. They are a minion of Hera. So what that means is that, and that's the thing too, and like, so in the Christianization of Greek myths, the devil or Hades is painted as the villain. But throughout the 12 trials of Hercules, Hera is the villain for the most part, which is Hercules' stepmother. What do you call it? The Queen of Pentacles. So what happens to Cancer, as I was seeing um the chariot reverse, and I was like, their shell is cracked, they're molting. Uh Cancer is a minion of Hera and gets stepped on. Scorpio, I guess, is an assassin sent from Hades to kill Orion, and he also is defeated and stepped on. He's like an assassin, whatever. But Pisces is like a mythical beast, or is a shape and form that Zeus changes into. So that's why in the past Pisces was ruled by Jupiter, because it's associated with Sagittarius philosophy, Deus ex machina, like this is the sign of the savior. And then even into Christianization and Romanization, whatever, the Jesus fish, like the sign of the fish, is still the sign of the Savior in the times of Jesus Christ, right? So, Cancer, unsuccessful. Scorpio, like you want to be an assassin, you want to be a saboteur, you try to sabotage people, but you're ultimately unsuccessful at it. So you may have to tap more into your Aquarian energies, or just be like, yeah, I don't know, like walk off the plank. I don't know what to tell you. Beg for forgiveness. And then so then what's going on with Sagittarius? Moving right along into the season of Sagittarius in the month of December, we have the Six of Wands reversed. So traditionally in the tarot, the wands are polo mallets, or batons. I don't know. Maybe they used to like hit people while they're playing polo, or riding crops. I don't know. So this is like not being able to go to polo. This is like losing. I did a reading for somebody on Reddit today, and I was like, oh, like I felt like sometimes I feel really weird when the readings are like leaning negative. And I was like, you're attracting like losing, or like calling yourself a loser, or feeling like a loser. Because that's what the Six of Wands is. It's like you calling yourself a loser, or people calling you a loser. And I was like, that's really harsh to send to somebody. And then he was like, oh, well, I was thinking about going to go play like a scratch game, like the lottery or whatever. And he's like, I probably, like, from what it sounds like in this reading, I'm not going to win. And I was like, yeah, I would like wait a little while. Maybe the energy will change. I mean, and also like, that's not, that's like pretty understandable advice if you're playing like the lottery, especially with like scratch games. Because it's like, yeah, no, wait a couple weeks, maybe like the winning ticket is later in the roll of scratchers or whatever. So Sagittarius, or for the collective in general, like, in December, you might be really thirsty to buy like Christmas gifts or something, and you might want to start playing the lottery, and I don't think you're going to win at the candy store that you're going to all the time with Virgo. And your Virgo best friend. And then so moving right along into the month of January, into the season of Capricorn, we have the King of Pentacles reversed. So this is somebody, like most likely a Taurus, that you're listening to a lot about financial advice, and it's not good. Your own financial philosophies may not be good and need like a lot of reevaluation. It's also this understanding that a business degree is a BS degree. Like people in business are just making things up. Like there really isn't anything about the Sponge Daddy. These are probably people from like Shark Tank or something. They all seem like they're just like, what is it, worse than American Idol, like just going upon their feelings. But it's like the Sponge Daddy. Like I don't know, I haven't used one. Maybe it is like this miracle sponge that I'm just not aware of. But like it doesn't even hit the points that I want in a big yellow and green sponge. Like I want a big, huge sponge where it feels like I'm not touching whatever it is that I'm cleaning. And the Sponge Daddy is like this really small, like cheap piece of plastic that just looks like a bad product, but it's popular. You know what I mean? So, you could be, breaking the bank to go for these products that are popular, crumble cookies or whatever it is. And you're like, I seriously would much prefer Chips Ahoy or Oreo. Um, and even to the extent that they use like Oreo and Biscoff in a lot of their recipes, it's like, why wouldn't I not just eat the original cookie or whatever? So, and especially like the King of Pentacles. Pentacles are usually time or money, but I guess in this sense, it could also be cookies or treats or rewards. I also see the like King of Pentacles as like toys, like yo-yos and ball in a cup and things like that, basketballs. Whereas like the King of Wands is like an athlete because of polo and things like that. The King of Pentacles is usually like I always think of it as like someone who owns a distillery or a winery or something. Um, of that nature, and it could be like their winery going out of business or their wine company going out of business, Toys R Us, whatever it is. Okay, and then moving right along into the month of February and the season of Aquarius, we have the Three of Cups. So, Aquarius, you could be dealing with a lot of cancers, a friend group, a social group. There could be three people who you're looking at that are intentionally trying to make you feel like an outcast because they are a collection of outcasts. And somebody was telling me that your enemies, the one thing that they have the most in common is low self esteem. So, you might be like going to the gym every day, doing your makeup, getting your hair done, making sure that your career is where it needs to be, where your business is where it needs to be, just like, taking care of business. And you see other people who are more popular and they're like out of shape, they're not taking care of themselves, they have ratchet jobs or don't work or whatever it is, and yet they're so much more popular than you and seem to be having such a better time and such an easier experience and blah blah blah. But they're not. They're drunk. So that's one thing to internalize. But also, it's like, so, why might your family or your friends not be in support of you? It could just be that they're tired of you watching all of your dreams come true while their lives are perpetual nightmares. And the only thing that they really have are these like 2 or 3 hours that they spend in delusion with these other Cancerian people or whatever, to drink their problems away. And you're like, you probably come around and you're like, oh, I don't drink or I don't abuse drugs or whatever it is. I'm happy and aligned. I'm happy and aligned and I'm working on my vibration, Aquarius, you know what I mean? And they probably can't stand it because, they're headed for a ditch. And you're headed for ascension and paradiso and all those things. And I mean, and that's the energy for Aquarius, but also just like the listener in general. Okay, so in the season of Pisces, in the season of the Savior, in the season of the only successful water sign, and success. What is success? You know what I mean? Is success being Elon Musk? Is success being Donald Trump? You know what I mean? Is success being Kelly Clarkson or Sherry Shepard? Is success being Jill Biden, where it's just like, you know sucks that everybody hates you, Joe. People love me. Is success? That's the thing too. Is like, is success being Barack Obama or is success being Michelle Obama? Which one is more successful? Which one is more peaceful? Which one's going to have more prosperous future? Only time will tell, right? Most of these things, like most of the things like success or achievement or love or having had high self esteem or having had a lot of money, you'll only really be aware of that as a fact in reflection, in old age, by the time you're like 80, 90 years old. So if you're like 20 years old going around like, I'm so rich, it's like, we'll see, for how long or whatever the story may be. And so with Pisces, I know astrologically, I think there's like a Saturn retrograde in Pisces, and I've been saying like, oh, Pisces is in spiritual jail. Everybody thinks spirituality is a scam because they haven't been able to take full advantage of celestial energies or have an intense amount of esoteric occult celestial knowledge because they haven't lived their lives in isolation and seclusion like Aquarius and Pisces have. And so, there might be like some like what is this, Nine of Wands reverse, like party girl Sagittarius, or just people who party too much in general who don't understand why Pisces seems to be so aligned and so protected. And it's not necessary. It's not. I mean, they are the sign of the Savior. They have good hearts and everything like that. And it's not. And you might be noticing this with Aquarius too. And you're like, oh, they must be putting curses on me. And it's like, especially with Aquarius, because Aquarius is not blessed. Aquarius and Capricorn, they are cursed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, their signs are a fucking curse. Other signs, like they're naive or they're inexperienced or, they're indecisive, like, ooh, indecision, that sucks. Whereas like Capricorn is like the sign of like limitations and blights on your harvest and struggling up to get up the hill, to get up the mountain. Aquarius is like awkwardness, discomfort, itching, not being rested, not liking yourself, just all these types of being hypercritical, all that type of stuff. And then Pisces is what's supposed to heal everybody, essentially. It's like the sign of the savior, the sign of the blessing. And Aquarius is also like the sign of the best friend, but Capricorn, it's like the sign of the servant. It's like it's not even like the servant. It's like Igor. You know what I mean? It's like, what's his name? It's just all awful. Like Hephaestus, married to the most beautiful woman in the world, but have no love or respect for beauty because of how much they lack. Aquarius, like I said, it's just like discomfort and awkwardness. Like even the positionings where I have Aquarius in my own chart, I'm like, no, I see how that aspect of my life is cursed or has felt cursed in the past. And then the positions and placements that I have in Pisces, I'm like, no, I see how I'm blessed there. It's like Pisces blessing, Gemini challenge, Libra deception, Aquarius curse, Uh, so it's like, you feeling less paranoid about the Sagittarius feeling less paranoid about you. They're like, their life isn't blessed because they're stealing my energy or putting curses on me. They are just simply a blessing. And their life is so protected because they're not out every weekend drinking and putting themselves in harm's way. Um, and through that philosophy or sharing that philosophy with you, may be how Pisces saves themselves and how they also save you. And so the energy that I see that you guys are walking away from, which is usually where I start the reading, but I didn't, and is the energy of the star. So what you can expect throughout the rest of 2024 and at the beginning of 2025. So like from November 2024 basically to like March 2025 is an energy of like 15 minutes of fame, people wanting to be famous, but also having this understanding that you can be both intelligent and sexy. So it's like, I don't know, like Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't have to look like a frump. We don't have to respect him as an intelligent person who also doesn't take care of their body. I know that self care isn't everything. I am definitely not a gatekeeper of self care. Uh, but, you know, the fear that there might be a Bill Nye the Science Guy who also has abs and is sexy and is engaging and is correct, is unbiased, and all those things could be very frightening. The star card does talk about Aquarian energy. I don't know if Neil deGrasse Tyson is an Aquarius, but it sort of seems like he would have some placements. And then the energy that we're heading towards, or that you're heading towards, the listener or the collective in general, I lost the card, but I found it, is that of the Knight of Swords. So, which still talks about air sign energy, talks about Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, more so the mutable air energy like Gemini. But the thing that I'm noticing the most with Geminis is that, or because of this card, is that they're people that look back in anger. And I don't know I should just Google it. I should Google it right now. I don't know the sign of the people in the band of Oasis, or if they write their own music or whatever that is. Um, that might have to be another video where it's just like music is such a lie, is it not? Uh, where you might completely fall in love with Taylor Swift or something, and then you find out like she's like stealing her music from her sister or her like cousin that she beats up or something. Um, this heartbreaking feeling of that YouTube video that not exposes but exposes where Daft Punk got all their samples from, and you may have really respected them. You may have really respected Daft Punk. You're like, they're so inventive and creative, and the beats they play are so amazing, and oh my God, like I want to do this one day. I'm gonna dedicate my life to creating music and beats just like Daft Punk, and then you realize like no, they're not creating anything. They're just like stealing doo wop like everybody's been doing for the past 50 years, like anybody else. Um, so, like I was saying, because I'm staying on track, I don't know the zodiac signs of the people in the band Oasis or if they write their own music, but that song that they have, which I don't even really know the lyrics to, Look Back in Anger, is I guess maybe very important to Gemini or is very important to Gemini or is very important to what you have to learn about people moving forward in 2025 or 2025, whatever. Uh, that some people look back in anger. Or for you to learn the lesson to not look back in anger. And look back in anger, meaning like looking at the past and making it make you angry. Which sometimes I feel like it's really easy to be angry about the past, right? Like if you weren't there and you weren't involved, and you're like, ooh, slavery, like if I'd have been there, and it's like, okay, well, honey, slavery's still going on today, and you're here, so you could do something about it. You know, like, ooh, women's rights and suffrage. Oh, it makes me so angry. If I was there, I'd punch every man in the face and let women vote. And it's like, okay, well, there's still voter suppression, and there are still women being subjugated, so you don't have to have the caveat of needing a time machine to, fight for justice. You can literally do it today, tomorrow, you know. And you might even notice like an Aquarian person or a Aries who's like really pretending to be upset about what's going on in Gaza, with Palestine and Israel, and it's like, okay, well, why don't like instead of harassing your barista at Starbucks or boycotting whatever new business you feel like is in support of Israel, or ripping down Greek flags in front of a cafe because you think they're Israeli flags. um why don't you house a Palestinian family that's in need? Why don't you try to send some finances instead of going and getting drunk with your cancer friends all the time every weekend? Why don't you put that $60 or whatever that you tend to spend at the bar and send it to a Palestinian? Unless you like are just trying to use activism or being socially conscious or socially aware as a part of your aesthetic. It's part of your sex appeal. Like, I may not be attractive. I may dress bad and have bad face. I'm talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson. I may dress bad and be frumpy and have a bad body and have an ugly mustache, but at least I'm smart like Bill Nye the Science Guy, and I know about buoyancy, and I'm like, ooh, I'm so steamed about Palestine. I don't go to Starbucks anymore. Ooh, I'm so angry. And it's like, okay, that's cute, Debbie, but like, you know, you're you're still getting fired. We're still firing you, Debbie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not what it needs to be. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope that my ramblings you find synchronicity and guidance as I typically do. Like I was at work the other day, and this girl was like going off, and she's like talking for like hours. I was like, why won't she stop? And I was like, oh, because she has a lot to tell me about things that I needed to be filled in on, that I had been Four of Cups saying, about. She honestly was just like, she reading my mind? We have the same thing. We have the same things on our minds. Something like that. Okay. So thank you so much for listening, beautiful souls. I will see you in my next video. And if you would like your own tarot forecast, you can book one on my website. I offer them as text messages, videos like this, phone calls where we just run through the tarot scope, use it on a person, use it on a situation. Ooh, wouldn't you like to know who's going to win the election? Probably Donald Rumsfeld or, Warren Buffett or whoever actually runs the country. And, you know, all those things. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.